Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about expat experience for women in Mali, Bamako, Mali. And to discuss that, I have my friend here who lived there for a while. My friend here is Kim, but before we go into all the things I want to talk about, I want to first introduce Mali to some people who don't know. So Mali is in the western part of Africa. The official language is French, and the population is 19.1 million people. And it's surrounded by countries like Algeria, Mauritania, Senegal, Guinea, Ivory Coast, Burkina Faso, and Niger. And to discuss like what expat life is like there, I have my friend here with me. But before I go further, you know the deal. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. And if you're not following me on Instagram, it's at Wale Chronicles. Now, let's get into the video. Hi, Kim.
Hi, Vale.
Welcome to my channel. You lived in Mali for a while. When did you live in Mali and how long did you live there for?
I moved to Mali in 2014, 20th of September, and I lived there for 8 months. So I moved away in 2015 May.
Okay. So guys, I'm looking at my question because I have a list of questions here. What's wrong with this computer? Okay. So what was your first reaction when you discovered that you're going to have to move to Mali, Bamako to be specific, because she lived in the capital? When you discovered you're going to live in Bamako, what was your first reaction?
So it was, I was very excited because I have never been in Africa before, not in West Africa, and I moved there because of love of my life. And so of course I was very, very excited, but also I was also scared, and I didn't know what I was going to expect it's gonna happen in Bamako. And so when I moved there, it was very strange because I grew up in East Europe, in Hungary, Budapest, and Africa is a very special place to be. And my reaction was it was very strange for me to move to Bamako. I mean, even when I just entered the country and being at the airport, it was already like I would say it was quite shock for me.
So, but before you made the move, did you do any were you able to find material research on what living in Bamako as an expat would be like? Did you find any material online?
No, not at all.
So it was
so it was everything. Everything was completely new for me.
Yeah.
So I didn't do any research because there was not so much.
When you were living there, how was the security and safety situation as a woman? Did you feel safe going out, or did you have to take extra measures when you're going out as a woman in Bamako?
The good things that I moved there with my husband, and I mean with my boyfriend that time, and so mostly we had our car, so whatever we went from A to P, we always took our car. But me myself, I never took a chance to walk alone for the long distance or even short distance, because it's just, for security reason you don't do that as an expert. And otherwise people are very friendly, very nice. So I think that I shouldn't feel unsecure being on the street, but it's just for security reason we don't do that. And there are also other experts don't do that, so we usually use our car.
This takes me to our next point we're going to talk about. What's the public transportation system there like?
There's not so much choices, so like people usually they still walk or they would take a bus, so they have this local transportation. But as an expert, you don't take that bus because I mean it's not something you would do as an expert.
So like every expat family or expat couple or expat person usually have like their own personal car.
Yeah.
Now we're going to talk about the leisure activities in Bamako. Like apart from working, like the relaxation, what are the relaxation opportunities, like going out and chilling? What are the things you can get up to in Bamako?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, there's not a lot things to do, but they have beautiful nature. So we have like this expat group called Hash. This is like a walking
Yeah.
group that like like we all come together, all the experts, and then we would start somewhere and we would do hiking like for a few hours, and then at the end we would drink, we would have fun together, and then
Nice.
go home. So this is one of our main activities, and we also had a lot of house parties because we were not really allowed to go out after a certain time because I moved to Bamako in 2014, unfortunately, it was not the peaceful time, the peacefulest time that we had in Bamako for the expats. So we were not really allowed to go out to restaurants or
Oh.
like to anywhere. So mostly we hang out together. We went to each other houses. We had nice time together.
So, like, how would you say the expat community, the size of the expat community is in Bamako, for instance, in comparison to Jakarta, for example?
It's a very small. It's a very small group of people, and they mostly work for NGO or like to outfield. So it was a very small group of
Was it
of
very
experts.
mixed, or like just people from Europe, America, or it's more mixed, like diverse?
No, it is quite mixed. So it's quite international people from
Nice.
Japan, from all around the world. So from US, from South America, from Europe, from Africa.
But like, what's the situation with making local friends? So like people from Mali, instead of like outside of your expat community, was it easy to make friends with the locals?
No, unfortunately,
Oh, really?
making friends with local people quite difficult because so they don't go to places we would go because so so when I went to the shop or I meet with some local people on the street, we could talk a little bit, but they were not really willing to make friends with us with expat.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I've like, of course, before this video, I did a bit of research and I read that the people in Mali are quite friendly. So I'm
Yeah.
surprised that this was your personal experience.
Yeah, I mean, like it's true that they are very friendly and they are very helpful and they're very talkative and they love to listen to us, but so they wouldn't invite us to our home. Yeah, so this is something like they wouldn't do. Maybe it's part of their culture, but also for us, we for our security, for the security reason, we also didn't invite any local friends to come over. So we mostly hang out with expats.
So now we're gonna talk about one of my favorite topics, food.
Yeah, I love
What's the
food.
food? Yeah, we're both foodies. What's the food situation like there in terms of like local food? What's the local food like? And how accessible is like foreign food in Bamako?
Yeah, so food. It is something like I have never had that kind of experience before. So, Mali is part of a French colony, and so all the food that come from abroad, it's all comes through from France. And unfortunately, the selection of the foreigner food it was very limited. And for example, I had like experience with my boyfriend that time that we went to the shop and we just wanted to have like a simple chicken breast we wanted to buy, but for example, this is something is quite luxury in Bamako, and so we went to the shop. We wanted to pick up, and unfortunately the piece of chicken breast looked quite off. I don't know, it's like how long it has been there, but it turned to be the breast became like green, yellowish,
Oh,
and
that's not
so
good.
yeah, so we got
Mm-mm.
quite depressed.
From food.
Yeah, because we do not.
The ultimate foodie, like depressed from lack
Yes,
of food.
because we just wanted to have like like a simple chicken breast, and we couldn't have that part. Otherwise, what we needed, we always found in the shop. But of course, if you find something that you really need, you had to buy that. Like you had to buy that and storage that, because you don't know when it's gonna be the next time that you can find that product again in the shop. So usually, if you learn that tip, you know how things works there with food. You would buy all and just keep that in your in your storage at home. Otherwise, so local fruit are amazing. Like we found everything we wanted to. I have to say that so as an expert, of course, we had our special price for the expert, but I had a really nice local lady who sold always the nicest fruit and vegetables for us, and it was amazing.
So now we're going to talk about job opportunities. When you were living there, did you try to look for work, or like how was the situation when it comes to looking for work in?
Um, so in my case, because I was a translator before I moved to Bamako, so for me to work as the Vietnamese Hungarian translator, the chance was
Yeah, very
was
low.
like zero, because we didn't have Hungarian embassy, or we didn't have a Vietnamese embassy, or any communities there for me. And but in general, for people that I met and friends, they all work for the UN, for the ends, for NGO companies, or they were freelance workers. So job opportunities, there are not so much.
Let's talk about, was there any significant culture shock for you when you first moved to Bamako? Because like you said, you hadn't been to any African country before. So was there culture shock for you, and what were these things that you consider culture shock?
Yeah, for me, the culture shock that, like, I mean, yeah, I already said I come from Vietnam, and Vietnam is part of Southeast Asia, one of Southeast Asia country, and until nowadays we are still poor compared to the Western society, and being growing up in East Europe. I think I was quite spoiled to got everything that I thought I didn't get from Vietnam, from Asia. But for me, the real culture shock it was when I moved to Africa, and to see that actually, like in Africa, people even had less than what I got in Asia, in Vietnam. And to see that people still so happy what they have. For me, it was really a mixing feelings that I got, like I was so amazed, just the simplicity, that the way people react, and the beautiful smile they got, and the friendly behavior. For me, it was quite a culture shock that you don't need to have materialistic stuff actually to order to be happy and to enjoy your life. And yeah, and then the other part of the culture shock for me, that to see that, like, I have so much, I mean, I have so much respect for all the African women, especially in Bamako, that like, for me it was so beautiful, like they dress up so colorful, they look so proud, and they carry the kids on the top, or on the front and on the back. But on the same time, they are really hard worker, like like I saw them, like carrying that like stuff, but on their head, like like, so, like I have never seen that. So for me, it was a culture shock, like to see like a incredible beautiful woman carry two kids, and on the top of her head she was carrying like I don't know how many kilo like stuff, but like she was walking like she was on the stage, like modeling. And I was like, wow, it's incredible.
That's an interesting insight of like the cultural shock situation in Mali, in Bamako to be specific. Can you remember any specific memory that you would say is your highlights of living there? Like this thing you will always remember. Like what's the highlight of the time you lived in Bamako?
For me, the highlights. So we were lucky enough to got people working for us in our house, and I met this incredible, beautiful lady who worked for us, and she was even like I didn't speak a lot of French, but we tried to communicate. She came every day to our house, and when I did something, I cook, I always offer her. And even we couldn't really talk, but our connection was really we really fed each other. And before the day, like the day I was moving away, and I saw, like I saw how sad she was, like, like she was so upset that I was moving away. Even she couldn't really express that for me in French, but I saw the way she looked at me, and it was so touching and it was so beautiful. And I felt also like heartbroken leaving her because she was so close to me. And I remember that my husband, that time boyfriend, told me afterwards because he speak perfect French, and he talked to this lady, and then she said that your girlfriend, she was such a great girl. She was so nice to me. I never had such a great boss, and I wish her all the best. I'm gonna miss her so much. And for me it was like so touching that like even like like we didn't have a lot of connection with local people, but people that we had connection and work with us, they were so loyal and they were so nice. So for me it's really like a highlight that like if I would have an opportunity to go back there to Mali, to Bamako again for holiday, I would love to find her and visit her and just give her a huge hug because it's like so nice.
It's so sweet.
I should hug her.
Okay, yeah. I think this question now you kind of answered it previously, but like just to clarify, with everything you experienced in Bamako, would you, if you had the opportunity to live there again, maybe like for 2 years, would you choose to live there?
Yes, definitely.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a positive answer.
Yeah.
That's nice. Okay. So, finally, my last question for you is like, what's it like being a Vietnamese woman living in, what was it like as a Vietnamese woman living in Bamako? Like, obviously, you look different. How was it for you?
For me it was nice to be special. There was not so many Asians, so I was proud walking around and say that yeah, I come from Vietnam, because actually in Bamako there are some Chinese, but there is very rare that there's Asian. So I think I was the second Asian girl, because there was
Wow.
also a Japanese girl who worked there, so I was the second one.
Did you get any like special treatment because of your difference? Because you look different?
No, I don't think so. I think that in general, like people are just really, really nice, and I just had so much fun trying to speak French with the local people, especially with taxi drivers, to show the way how they should take me home. But they were always so nice to me. So yeah.
Do you remember any French thing that you do you remember, do you still have any French skills? I mean, that's what I was trying to ask. Do you still know how to speak French, like a little?
Yes, a little bit. Like yeah.
Okay, say something in French for us.
Just a little bit, but I prefer to show you how it works.
Oh, okay. Gonna show me how it works. Okay.
I don't like to talk.
Okay, thank you so much for taking the time for this chats for this video. I really, really appreciate it, and I'm sure somebody out there who is going to go to Bamako one day is going to really appreciate it. Thank you so much
My
for
pleasure.
coming to
Thank you
this
very
channel.
much for inviting me
Yeah,
to this
and
talk.
yeah, if you enjoyed this content, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and thank you very much for watching. I will see you guys in my next video. Cheers.